30 years of research from Jung, neuroscience, and trauma experts reveals something most people never learn about soul contract breaking. It follows 5 predictable stages. And research shows that 6 to 8% of people get stuck between stage 2 and stage 3, spending years in emotional limbo without a clear path forward. If you felt that crushing emptiness after a soul contract breaks, that physical ache in your chest, you're not broken. You're in stage 1. And right now, you're exactly where you need to be. But most people don't know what comes next. Here's what nobody tells you. Most people spend years, sometimes decades, wandering through these stages without a map. They get stuck in the void of stage 2, not knowing if they're healing too slow. Or they rush into stage 3's anger and turn it toxic, burning bridges they'll later regret. Some never make it to stage 4's integration, repeating the same soul contract patterns with different people. But when you understand the road map, the timeline, the milestones, the exact practices for each stage, you can navigate this transformation in 12 months instead of 10 years. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which stage you're in right now, what to expect, and how long it typically lasts. You'll have 5 specific practices, one for each stage, that you can start today. And you'll understand the fork that appears in stage 3. The choice between productive transformation and staying stuck for years. This isn't just theory. This is your actionable roadmap for the next 12 months, backed by Jung's clinical work, modern neuroscience, and somatic trauma research. Before we begin, pause right now and ask yourself, when did my soul contract break? Was it weeks ago? Months? Years? Hold that in your mind, because in 10 minutes, you'll be able to pinpoint your exact stage, and comment below which stage you think you're in. I'll reply with personalized guidance. Now let's start where every rebirth begins, in the collapse. Welcome to stage 1, the collapse. And if you're in this stage right now, I need you to hear this first. What you're experiencing isn't a breakdown. It's what Jung called psychic disintegration. And it's the most necessary, most painful, and most misunderstood part of the entire healing journey. Let me explain why this matters. For months, maybe years, you built your entire identity around this soul contract. Your daily rhythms, your future plans, your sense of who you are, all of it was structured around this energetic agreement. Think of your psyche like a building. Every beam, every wall, every foundation stone was placed in relation to this connection. And when the soul contract breaks, it's not just losing a person, it's the entire structure fragmenting. The scaffolding that held your psychological world together, gone. Jung documented this in dozens of patients at Burghölzli Hospital in the early 1900s. He watched people, intelligent, capable people, completely fall apart when soul contracts broke. The chest pain, the inability to focus, the obsessive replaying of memories. He called it dangerous because most people, when they hit this stage, make choices that delay their healing for years. They run from the collapse instead of allowing it to complete. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Modern neuroscience confirms what Jung intuited a century ago. When we put people experiencing soul contract breaking into fMRI machines, here's what we see. Your limbic system, the emotional center of your brain, enters a crisis state. Your amygdala, the part that processes fear and threat, is firing at 300% above baseline. 300%. This isn't just emotional pain. This is your nervous system registering the loss as a survival threat. To your brain, this collapse feels like dying, because in a very real psychological sense, part of you is dying. Let me tell you about Maria. She was 34, a therapist, someone who understood psychology professionally. When her 7-year soul contract ended, she was in her kitchen. She remembers gripping the counter, feeling her legs weaken, this physical sensation like her chest was caving in. Her mind kept looping the same thought. How did I not see this? I'm a therapist. I should have known. But it wasn't just sadness. She described it as a terror that felt like drowning. She couldn't eat for 2 weeks. She'd wake up at 3 a.m., replaying every conversation, searching for the moment she could have fixed it. Maria's collapse lasted 6 weeks. 6 weeks of what felt like she was dying. And here's what most people don't understand, what Maria didn't understand at first. The collapse is not a failure. It's demolition before rebuilding. You cannot construct a new psychological structure on top of the old one. That would be like trying to build a house on a cracked foundation. The collapse clears the ground. It's brutal. It's terrifying, but it's necessary. Your brain is doing exactly what it needs to do. Neuroscience shows us that during this stage, your brain is pruning old neural pathways, the automatic patterns of thought and behavior that were built around that relationship. Every good morning text you sent, every future plan you made, every way you adjusted yourself to fit the dynamic, all of that is stored in neural networks. And now those networks are being deleted. That's why you can't think straight. That's why you can't remember if you locked the door. Your brain is running a massive background operation, clearing old programming to make space for something new. But here's the critical part, and this is where most people derail their entire healing. You have to let the collapse complete. You can't shortcut it. You can't positive think your way through it. You can't work yourself out of it. The only way out is through. And that requires something radical in our fix-it-fast culture. Surrender. Not surrender as in giving up. Surrender as in allowing what is to be fully felt. The grief, the rage, the confusion, the physical pain, all of it. Because what you resist persists. And if you resist this collapse, if you try to stay strong and push through it, it doesn't go away. It goes underground. It becomes chronic. I've seen people still collapsed 15 years later because they never allowed themselves to fully fall apart. So, if you're in stage 1 right now, your only job, and I mean only, is to survive this stage, not heal yet, not grow yet, not learn the lesson, just survive. Keep yourself alive, keep yourself safe, and let your nervous system do what it needs to do. We're going to give you a specific practice in a few minutes that will help. But first, you need to recognize what this stage actually looks like, so you know you're not going crazy. Okay, let's talk about what stage 1 actually looks like, because you need to be able to recognize where you are. And if you're in this stage right now, I'm going to describe things that might make you feel seen for the first time in weeks. Stage 1 shows up in your body first. Before your mind can process what's happening, your body knows. Chest pain, not metaphorical, actual physical tightness in your sternum. You'll wake up with it. It's the first thing you feel before you're fully conscious. Many people go to the doctor thinking it's their heart. They run tests. Everything comes back normal. And the doctor says, it's stress. But it doesn't feel like stress. It feels like something is physically sitting on your chest. You can't eat. Food tastes like cardboard. Your body has shut down non-essential systems because it's in survival mode. You'll lose 5, 10, 15 pounds in 2 weeks. People will comment on it. You look thin. And you'll want to say, I'm not dieting, I'm dying inside. But you'll just say, thanks. Sleep becomes impossible. You'll either sleep 12 hours and wake up more exhausted than when you went to bed, or you'll lie awake at 3 a.m., mind racing, replaying every conversation, every moment, searching for the warning signs you missed. Your body feels heavy, like you're moving through water. Getting out of bed requires conscious effort. Showering feels like climbing a mountain. These aren't exaggerations. This is your nervous system in full trauma response. In Jung's documented cases, 85% of patients experiencing soul contract breaking reported significant physical symptoms within the first week. 85%. Modern research on attachment rupture confirms this. Your brain doesn't distinguish between physical and emotional pain. The same neural regions light up. The anterior cingulate cortex, the insula, these areas process both a broken bone and a broken bond identically. To your nervous system, this is a physical injury. Then there's what's happening in your mind. First comes shock, a numbness, like you're watching your life from outside your body. You're at work, you're talking to people, but you're not really present. You're observing yourself going through motions. Psychologists call this dissociation. It's your mind's way of protecting you from the full weight of the loss hitting all at once. Under the shock, there's denial cycling. This isn't really happening. They'll come back. We'll fix this. This is just a rough patch. Your brain does this because accepting the reality that it's truly over feels unsurvivable. So it bargains with reality. It creates alternate timelines, fantasy scenarios where things work out. You'll catch yourself planning conversations you'll never have, rehearsing apologies or explanations, imagining the moment they realize they made a mistake. But beneath the denial, there's terror, not sadness yet. Terror. The terror of, who am I without this connection? Your identity was built in relation to this person. You were someone's partner, someone's person, half of a unit. And now that unit is gone, and you're what? The question creates a void that feels like falling through space with nothing to grab onto. One person described it perfectly in a comment on this channel. I felt like I was drowning and no one could see. I was smiling at work, answering emails, having lunch with colleagues, and internally, I was screaming. Every second felt like trying to stay afloat in an ocean, and everyone around me thought I was fine because I was still swimming. If that's you right now, if you're reading this and your chest just tightened, you're in stage 1, and you need to know this is temporary. It won't feel like this forever. You can't focus. You'll read the same paragraph 5 times and retain nothing. Conversations feel like they're happening underwater. People are talking to you, their mouths are moving, but you can't track what they're saying because your entire internal system is preoccupied with processing this trauma. You're replaying memories obsessively, analyzing every moment. What if I had said this differently? What if I'd noticed that sign? What was the exact moment it started going wrong? This replay is compulsive. You know it's not helping. You know you're torturing yourself. But you can't stop. It's like your brain is a detective investigating a crime scene, and if you can just find the right clue, you can solve the mystery and rewind time. Except you can't, and the investigation never ends. It just loops and loops and loops. There's also what you're doing or not doing. You're withdrawing, canceling plans, stopping mid-text and not responding, letting calls go to voicemail, not because you don't care about people, but because existing as a functional social being requires energy you simply don't have. To be around others, you have to perform coherence. You have to act like a person who has preferences, opinions, the capacity to listen and respond. You don't have that right now. You might be over-functioning at work, throwing yourself into tasks, staying late, volunteering for extra projects. This is avoidance disguised as productivity. Or you might be under-functioning, calling in sick, missing deadlines, barely meeting minimum requirements. Both are stage 1 responses. Both are your system's attempt to manage an impossible internal state. Some people become hyper-vigilant about their phone, checking it every 30 seconds, reading old texts, looking at photos, torturing themselves with social media. Are they posting? Are they with someone else? Who's liking their posts? Others delete everything, texts, photos, block them on every platform. Both are attempts to control the uncontrollable. Neither stops the pain. So here's what you need to know about the timeline. Stage 1 typically lasts 2 to 8 weeks. For most people, around 4 to 6 weeks. The intensity peaks around week 2. That's when the shock wears off and the full reality hits. Then, gradually, very gradually, it starts to soften. Not in a straight line. You'll have a better day than 3 hard days. But over time, the waves get smaller. The gaps between them get longer. Your milestone for stage 1 is subtle, but significant. The first morning you wake up and don't immediately think of them. It might only be 7 seconds before the memory hits, but there's a gap, a space between unconsciousness and pain. That gap is your nervous system beginning to recalibrate. When you notice that gap, even once, you're starting to transition towards stage 2. But before we talk about stage 2, you need to survive stage 1. And that requires a very specific practice that I'm about to walk you through. This isn't meditation. This isn't mindfulness. This is nervous system regulation, and it works because it speaks directly to the part of your brain that's in crisis, not through words, but through your body. All right, here's your stage 1 practice. It's called somatic grounding, and it's based on Peter Levine's trauma release work. This is not meditation. This is not breathing exercises you've seen before. This is nervous system regulation at the biological level. And you're going to do this 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, evening. Each session takes 3 minutes, 9 minutes total per day to stabilize a nervous system in crisis. I'm going to guide you through it right now. If you can, pause this video after I explain it, stand up, and do it with me. If you can't right now, if you're on the train, at work, lying in bed at 3 a.m., unable to sleep, watch it once. Then try it later. But try it today, not tomorrow. Today. Download the Stage 1 worksheet in the description. It has the full practice written out, plus a tracking sheet. Check off each time you do it. On hard days, you'll do it 4, 5 times. That's fine. There's no maximum. The more you ground, the faster you stabilize. Step 1. Stand up if you can. Feet hip-width apart. If you can't stand, sit with feet flat on the floor. You're going to connect with the ground beneath you. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a deep breath in through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2 counts. 1, 2. Exhale through your mouth for 6 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Do that 2 more times on your own. I'll wait. That's 0.5 R. What you just did is called diaphragmatic breathing. It activates your vagus nerve, the main nerve of your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the system that tells your brain, we're safe. Your sympathetic nervous system has been running at 300% for days or weeks. It's screaming, threat, threat, threat. The vagus nerve is the off switch. You just activated it. Step 2. Feel your feet on the ground. Really feel them. Notice the pressure, the temperature of the floor through your socks or shoes. Press your feet down slightly and feel the earth pushing back. This is called proprioception, your body's sense of where it is in space. When you're in trauma, you lose proprioception. You feel like you're floating, disconnected, like you could drift away. Feeling your feet grounds you back into physical reality. Say internally, or out loud if you're alone, I am here. I am present. I am safe in this moment. Not safe forever. We're not lying to ourselves. Safe in this moment. Right now, in this second, you are not in danger. The soul contract breaking happened. The pain is real, but right now, standing here, breathing, you are safe. Your nervous system needs to hear this. It needs the data. Threat has passed. We're in present time, not past trauma. Repeat it 3 times. I am here. I am present. I am safe in this moment. Step 3. Gentle shaking. This releases stored trauma from your body. I know it sounds strange. Stay with me. Animals do this naturally after a threat. If you watch a gazelle that just escaped a lion, it will stand still, then shake violently for 30 seconds, then go back to grazing. It's discharging the stress chemicals, the adrenaline, the cortisol that flooded its system during the chase. Humans need to do this consciously. We suppress the shaking because we've been taught it's weakness. It's not. It's biology. Shake out your hands. Loose wrists, like you're shaking off water. Now your arms. Let them be loose, floppy. Now your shoulders. Roll them, shake them. If it feels okay, put a gentle bounce in your knees. You're creating movement throughout your body. You're physically discharging the shock that's been held in your muscles. 30 seconds. I'll count for you. Begin. Good. Take 1 more deep breath. In for 4, hold for 2, out for 6. Open your eyes. Notice how you feel. You might feel a little lighter. You might feel the same. You might feel more present. All of those are normal. The point isn't to feel better immediately. The point is to signal to your nervous system that you're taking action to regulate it. Here's what to expect. After the first time, you might not notice anything. That's normal. After the 3rd or 4th time, you might notice the chest tightness eases by 10%. Not gone, 10% lighter. After a week of doing this 3 times daily, you might sleep an extra 30 minutes. You might eat half a meal instead of 3 bites. Small shifts, micro progress. Don't expect dramatic transformation. Stage 1 is not about breakthrough. It's about survival and stabilization. You're telling your nervous system over and over multiple times a day, we're safe right now. We can discharge this stress. We don't have to hold it all in our body. Over time, your system believes you. It starts to recalibrate. The baseline level of panic decreases. Some of you are thinking, this seems too simple. How can 3 minutes of breathing and shaking do anything? Here's how. Your nervous system doesn't speak the language of thoughts. It speaks the language of sensation. You can tell yourself, "I'm okay," 1,000 times, and your nervous system doesn't believe you because the felt sense in your body is, "I'm dying." But when you breathe deeply, feel your feet on the ground, shake out the stress, your body receives data it can believe. Oh, we're breathing, we're grounded, we're moving. We must not be in mortal danger. That's why this works when positive thinking doesn't. You're working with biology, not psychology. Your quick win for today. Do this practice once right after this video ends. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Do all 3 steps. Notice what shifts, even if it's subtle. Then set 3 alarms on your phone for tomorrow, morning, afternoon, evening. Title them Ground. When the alarm goes off, stop what you're doing for 3 minutes and ground. Every single day for 1 week. That's the commitment. 7 days, 3 times a day. If you do this, not perfectly, not even consistently, but if you try to do this most days, your nervous system will stabilize enough to move towards stage 2. And stage 2 is where the real work begins. Before we move to stage 2, you need to know the 2 mistakes that keep people stuck in stage 1 for months instead of weeks. If you make these mistakes, you'll turn a 6-week collapse into a 6-month spiral. I don't say that to scare you. I say it because I've seen it happen dozens of times, and it's completely avoidable. Mistake number 1, resisting the collapse. You try to stay strong. You push through. You go to work with a smile. You tell everyone you're fine. You suppress the crying, the rage, the terror. I should be over this by now. I'm being dramatic. Other people have it worse. I need to move on. Here's the problem. What you resist persists. Your nervous system needs to discharge this trauma. It needs to grieve, to rage, to feel the full weight of what happened. If you don't allow it, if you suppress it with, "I should be stronger than this," the trauma doesn't leave. It goes underground. It becomes chronic. You'll be fine on the surface, but underneath, there's this constant hum of unprocessed pain. And 6 months, a year, 5 years later, it erupts. A random trigger, and suddenly you're back in the collapse, worse than before because now there's compounded trauma. Jung was crystal clear on this. You must allow the disintegration to complete before integration can begin. You can't skip the falling apart. That doesn't mean wallowing. That doesn't mean making the pain your identity. It means feeling what's here without judgment, crying when you need to cry, raging in private when the rage comes, allowing your body to shake, your chest to ache, your mind to loop, without telling yourself you're weak for experiencing what is normal in stage 1. The fastest way through stage 1 is to stop fighting it. Surrender to the collapse, not giving up. Surrendering. There's a difference. Giving up is passive. Surrendering is active. It's saying, "Okay, this is where I am. This is unbearable, and I'm going to bear it anyway. I'm going to feel this fully so it can complete its cycle." Mistake number 2, making big decisions in stage 1. Do not quit your job. Do not move cities. Do not immediately jump into a new relationship to prove you're okay. Do not make any major life changes for at least 8 weeks. Minimum. Your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of your brain, is offline right now. You're in limbic system overdrive. The part of your brain that can think rationally about consequences, that can weigh options, that can plan for the future. It's not driving. Your amygdala is driving. The fear center. the part that just wants the pain to stop immediately, by any means necessary. Decisions made from that place are almost always regretted. I quit my job because I couldn't focus, and now I have no income and more stress. I moved across the country to escape the memories, and now I'm isolated and still in pain. I jumped into a new relationship, and 3 months later, I realized I'm just repeating the same patterns because I never processed the first one. Give yourself 8 weeks before any major decisions. If you still want to make that change in 8 weeks, fine. You'll have more clarity then, but not now. Not in the collapse. Right now, your only job is to survive each day. Go to work if you can. Don't make big changes. Ground 3 times daily. That's it. Simple survival mode. So here's your stage 1 timeline. 2 to 8 weeks, average of 4 to 6. Week 1 is shock. Week 2 is the worst. That's when reality fully hits. Weeks 3 through 6, gradual softening. You'll have good hours, then hard days. It's not linear. Don't expect steady progress. Healing comes in waves, not straight lines. Some days you'll wake up and think, I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. Then by noon, you're back at 0. That's normal. That's not regression. You're processing layers. Each wave clears another layer of grief. Let them come. Let them go. Your milestone, the first morning you wake up and don't immediately think of them, could be 7 seconds before the memory hits. That 7-second gap is your signal. Your brain has pruned enough old pathways that you're not constantly referencing the past. When that happens, you're transitioning to stage 2. And here's what you need to know about stage 2 before we go there. It's going to feel worse in a different way. Stage 1 is acute pain. Sharp, intense, unbearable. Stage 2 is emptiness. The shock wears off, and what's left is a void. I feel nothing. I don't know who I am. I can't picture my future. That void is where most people panic. They think, I should be feeling better by now. Why do I feel nothing? You're not broken. You're in the void. And the void, as terrifying as it is where transformation actually begins. But we'll get there. For now, if you're in stage 1, ground 3 times daily. Avoid big decisions. Let yourself feel what's here. Download the worksheet if you haven't yet. And take a breath. You're going to make it through this. In 2 minutes, I'll show you what stage 2 looks like and how to navigate the emptiness without filling it prematurely. But first, let me show you what's happening in your brain during the void that makes it feel so terrifying. The void is calling, and in stage 2, you're going to learn why the emptiness you're about to feel is actually your brain renovating itself at the neural level. Let's go there now. Welcome to the void. And I know that sounds dramatic, but there's no other way to describe what stage 2 feels like. Jung called this stage nigredo, the blackening. It's an alchemical term for the phase where all old forms dissolve before new creation becomes possible. Here's what's happening. Stage 1 was acute pain. Your nervous system was in crisis mode, flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. That actually kept you activated, hypervigilant, raw, but alive. But now, weeks later, the shock is wearing off. The crisis chemicals are depleting, and what's left is nothing. Not sadness, not anger yet, nothing. A hollow, empty, I don't know who I am anymore. Nothing. You'll describe it as numbness, fog, going through the motions. People will ask how you are, and you'll say fine, because you're not crying anymore. But inside? Inside is a void where your identity used to be. And this terrifies people. They think, at least in stage 1, I was feeling something. This numbness is worse. So they panic. They try to fill it, rebound relationship, throw themselves into work, anything to not feel the emptiness. But Jung was clear about this. The void cannot be skipped. Negrado is the necessary dissolution. You built your identity around that soul contract. Now it's gone. You can't build a new self on top of the old foundation. The void clears the ground. It's demolition before construction. And demolition is supposed to look like destruction. That's its job. Neuroscience calls this process synaptic pruning. Your brain is literally deleting neural pathways built around that relationship. Every morning routine you had with them, every future plan, every identity structure, all of it stored in neural networks. When the soul contract breaks, those networks are no longer useful, so your brain prunes them, cuts them away. This shows up on fMRI scans as decreased activity in what neuroscientists call the default mode network. The brain regions active when you're thinking about yourself and your future. That's why you feel, I don't know who I am and I can't picture my future. It's not metaphorical. Your self-concept network is literally offline for renovation. The emptiness you feel, that's your brain in the space between deleting old pathways and building new ones. And here's what most people don't understand. This takes time, 1 to 3 months. You can't rush it. You can't think your way out of it. Your only job is to not fill the void prematurely. Trying to build new patterns while old pathways are still being deleted is like trying to construct a house while the foundation is still being demolished. It collapses. You end up in the same pattern 6 months later, just with a different person. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. In the 1920s, Jung documented a patient, we'll call her Patient E, who came to him 8 weeks after ending a 7-year engagement. She told him, I feel like a ghost. I walk through my days, but I'm not really present. I can't remember what I used to enjoy. When people ask what I want, I genuinely don't know. It's like someone erased me. Jung recognized this immediately as negrado. He told her something that confused her at the time. Good. This emptiness is exactly what's supposed to happen. Don't try to fill it. Don't try to become someone new yet. Just be empty for a while. She thought he was cruel. How could emptiness be good? But 3 months later, she returned and told him, I understand now. The emptiness cleared space. If I had filled it immediately, I would have just recreated the same patterns that led me into that engagement in the first place. Now, in 2015, Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive persons validated exactly what Jung observed. She studied individuals going through relationship dissolution and found that those who allowed themselves to experience the void, what she called the fallow period, showed significantly better long-term outcomes than those who immediately jumped into new relationships or threw themselves into work. The brain needs that fallow time. Think of it like a field that's been harvested. You can't immediately plant new crops. The soil needs to rest, to regenerate. Your neural pathways are the same. The old patterns served a purpose. They kept you connected to that soul contract. But now they're obsolete. Your brain is clearing them out to make space for new patterns aligned with who you're becoming. And here's the paradox. The people who fight the void the hardest are the ones who stay stuck the longest, because what you resist persists. If you can't sit with the emptiness, if you have to fill it with something, anything, you're telling your nervous system, this state is dangerous, we need to escape it. So your nervous system stays activated, keeps you in crisis mode, prevents the deeper rewiring from happening. But if you can be with the void, not enjoy it, just be with it, your nervous system gets the message. We're safe enough to rebuild. We can take the time this requires. That permission is what allows stage 2 to complete its work. So here's your first instruction for stage 2. Do nothing. And I mean that seriously. Your brain is doing deep renovation work right now. Your job isn't to fix it, speed it up, or make it more comfortable. Your job is to not interfere. But, and this is critical, do nothing doesn't mean isolate completely or stop functioning. It means don't make big identity decisions right now. Don't try to figure out who you are yet. Don't force yourself to have answers you don't have. Here's what honoring the void actually looks like. First, when someone asks, "How are you?" and you genuinely don't know, say that. I don't know. I'm in between states right now. Most people won't know what to do with that honesty. That's okay. You're not performing for their comfort anymore. Second, when you catch yourself trying to plan your future and your mind goes blank, stop trying. Your future planning capacity is offline for a reason. It'll come back when the rewiring is done. For now, plan in 2-week increments maximum. Not months, not years. 2 weeks. Third, when the urge hits to fill the void, and it will multiple times a day, pause. Literally pause. Take 3 breaths. Ask yourself, am I doing this because it genuinely serves me? Or am I doing it to escape the emptiness? If it's the latter, don't do it. Sit with the discomfort for 5 more minutes. Then reassess. This isn't about being disciplined. It's about giving your brain the space it needs to complete the pruning process. Every time you resist filling the void, you're telling your nervous system, we're safe enough to take our time. And that permission is what allows the deeper transformation to happen. In 7 minutes, I'm going to show you the energy audit practice, a specific tool for tracking where you actually are in stage 2, so you stop judging yourself for not being somewhere else. But first, you need to understand the biggest mistake people make in this stage, the one that derails healing for years. Before I show you the mistakes, you need to know if you're actually in stage 2. Because here's what happens. People confuse the void with depression. They go to their doctor, they get put on medication, and sometimes that's necessary. I'm not anti-medication. But the void isn't clinical depression. It's a developmental stage. Depression says, everything is hopeless. Nothing will ever get better. The void says, I don't know who I am right now, but I'm not hopeless. I'm in transition. There's a difference. If you treat the void like depression, trying to fix it, medicate it away, make it disappear, you interrupt the very process that's trying to help you. You're essentially telling your brain, stop rewiring, go back to the old patterns. And your brain will comply. You'll feel better for a few weeks, then crash back into the same soul contract dynamics 6 months later. So before we go further, you need to identify, am I in the void? Or am I clinically depressed and need professional support? Both are valid. Both require different approaches. Let me show you the signs so you can tell the difference. Stage 2's primary sign, I don't know who I am anymore. And I don't mean that philosophically. I mean functionally. You'll catch yourself mid-sentence forgetting what you liked, what you wanted, what your opinions even are. Someone asks, what do you want for dinner? And you genuinely don't know. Not because you're indecisive, because your preference system is offline. You built your preferences in relation to that person. You like Thai food because they like Thai food. You watched certain shows because it was your ritual together. You had opinions on politics because you'd formed them through conversations with them. Now they're gone, and you can't access what you want, independent of that dynamic. It's disorienting. You'll look at hobbies you used to love and feel nothing. Music sounds flat. Food tastes bland. This isn't anhedonia, the clinical inability to feel pleasure. This is identity confusion. The old self died. The new self hasn't emerged yet. You're in the gap. One person described it perfectly. I opened my closet and stared at my clothes for 20 minutes, unable to choose, not because I was being picky, because I genuinely didn't know who I was anymore. 0.5. If that resonates, you're in stage 2. A woman in one of Jung's documented cases, patient M, described it perfectly. I'm a collection of responses to other people's needs. Without someone to respond to, I don't know what I am. It's like looking in a mirror and seeing nothing. That's stage 2. You're not depressed. You're between identities. Second sign, social battery at 0. In stage 1, you might have leaned on friends, cried with them, processed with them, let them hold you. Stage 2, you can't. Being around people requires you to perform coherence, to act like a person with preferences, opinions, energy, a sense of self. You don't have that right now, so you cancel plans. You stop responding to texts for days. Not because you don't care about these people, because existing as a social being takes energy you don't have. Every interaction is like speaking a language you used to be fluent in but suddenly can't remember. Exhausting. Pause for 5 seconds. Ask yourself, have I canceled plans this week because I had 0 social energy? 0.5. If yes, you're likely experiencing the void. Think of it like this. Butterflies don't socialize during metamorphosis. They're in the cocoon, liquefying, restructuring. You're in your cocoon. The people who matter will understand. The people who don't? They'll say things like, you're pushing everyone away, or you've changed. Yes, you have. And that's not a problem to fix. It's a process to honor. Third sign, time feels weird. Days blur together. You'll lose track of what day it is. A week feels like a month. A month feels like a week. That's because you're not creating new memories. You're in maintenance mode. Your brain is working on internal renovation, not external experience. Time loses its usual markers. And the grief? It comes in waves now. Not constant like stage 1, but unpredictable. You'll be fine, almost okay. Then a song comes on, or you smell something that reminds you of them, or it's just a random Tuesday at 2 p.m. and boom, wave hits. 10 minutes of crying that seems to come from nowhere, then it passes. Dr. Judith Orloff's clinical research on empaths documented this exact pattern. She found that grief in the void phase operates on what she called trigger memory cycles. The brain randomly accessing stored emotional memories during the rewiring process. It's not regression. It's processing layers. Each wave clears another layer. Your job is to let them come, let them pass. Don't fight them. Fourth sign, and this is the one that scares people most. You'll feel like you're going backwards. Week 6, you feel a little better. Week 7, you crash back to week 2 levels. You think, I'm not healing, I'm getting worse. You're not. Healing isn't linear, it's a spiral. Jung called these regression phases. periods where you temporarily return to earlier emotional states to integrate something you missed the first time. Modern neuroscience calls it reconsolidation, your brain revisiting neural pathways to ensure the rewiring is complete. It's not backwards, it's depth. So if you're experiencing identity confusion, not knowing what you want, social withdrawal, zero energy for people, time distortion, days bleeding together, grief waves, unpredictable crying, nonlinear healing, better than worse than better. You're in stage 2, the void, right on schedule. Now that you know you're in the void, here's what you do. Nothing. And I know I already said that, but I need to say it again, because your brain is going to fight this instruction every single day. Your ego, the part of you that wants to be productive and healed and back to normal, is going to tell you, this is taking too long. You should be better by now. Do something. Ignore it. The void has its own timeline, 1 to 3 months for most people. You can't shorten it by trying harder. You can't think your way out of it. You can't meditate it away, journal it away, or therapize it away. Those things help. They support the process, but they don't speed it up. Your brain needs the time it needs to prune old pathways and build new ones. Period. What you can do, the only thing that actually helps, is track where you are so you stop judging yourself for not being somewhere else. In 3 minutes, I'm going to show you the energy audit practice. It's a 2-minute daily check-in that gives you data instead of judgment. But first, you need to know the 3 mistakes that turn a 2-month void into a 2-year trap. Because if you make these mistakes, you'll sabotage everything your brain is trying to do for you. Okay? Here's where most people derail their entire healing. The void is so uncomfortable, so foreign to everything you've been taught about productivity and moving on, that they fill it prematurely. 3 ways, all catastrophic. Mistake 1, rebound relationship. The void feels like loneliness, so they find someone, anyone, to fill it. It works for 2 months, maybe 3. Then the cracks appear. Same patterns, different person, because they never processed why they were attracted to the old dynamic in the first place. The void would have shown them, but they skipped it. Mistake 2, work obsession, 70-hour weeks, becoming a machine. At least achievement gives temporary identity, right? They win the promotion, feel accomplished, then 6 months later, they burn out harder than they've ever burned out. Because they built an identity on achieving instead of being. The void would have taught them their worth isn't their productivity, but they skipped it. Mistake 3, spiritual bypassing. I'm fine. I've learned the lesson. I forgive them. It's all love and light. Everything happens for a reason. Sounds evolved. It's avoidance. You can't integrate what you won't feel. The void would have made them sit with the uncomfortable truth that some things hurt, and there's no silver lining, and that's okay. But they skipped it with premature meaning-making. All 3 mistakes have one thing in common: their attempts to return to certainty. The void is uncertain. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you want. You don't know what comes next. And humans hate uncertainty. We'll do almost anything, even destructive things, to feel certain again. But here's what Jung understood that most people don't. Uncertainty is the birthplace of transformation. You can't become someone new while clinging to the old certainties. The void strips away your certainties so you can discover what's true underneath the conditioning. Skip the void, you get certainty back. but it's false certainty, built on sand, and it collapses. Let me show you what happens when you skip stage 2. Jung documented a patient in the 1930s. Patient R, male, 38, ended a 10-year marriage. 5 weeks into the void, he couldn't take the emptiness anymore. He started a relationship with a colleague. It felt good. Validation, distraction, proof he was moving on. 2 months in, the new relationship was intense. 3 months in, he was engaged. Everyone told him, "You're rushing this." He didn't listen. He needed the certainty. 6 months after the engagement, the same patterns from his first marriage started appearing. His new partner was avoidant. He was anxiously pursuing. The dynamic he'd sworn he'd never repeat, he was in it again. By month 8, he was in Jung's office, devastated. "How did I do this again? I thought I'd learned." And Jung told him something harsh but necessary. "You didn't learn. You avoided. The void would have shown you why you're attracted to avoidant partners. But you filled it before it could teach you." Patient R had to end the second relationship, return to the void. This time, he stayed in it. 3 months of nothing. Identity confusion, social withdrawal, grief waves, all of it. And when he finally emerged, he was different. He could see the pattern clearly now, why he chose emotionally unavailable people, why he abandoned himself to keep them, why he needed their validation to feel whole. 2 years later, Jung noted in his records, patient R was in a healthy relationship, no anxious avoidant dance, mutual respect. He'd finally broken the cycle, but only after he'd allowed the void to complete its work. Dr. Elaine Aron's research validates this. She studied 2 groups, people who immediately jumped into new relationships after soul contract breaking, and people who took what she called integration time, 3 to 6 months alone, processing, not dating. The first group, the rebound group, had a 78% chance of repeating the same relationship patterns within 2 years. 78%. The second group, 23%. More than 3 times less likely to repeat the pattern. Why? Because the brain needs fallow time. If you plant new relationship patterns on top of old neural pathways that haven't been pruned yet, the old pathways win. They're stronger, more established. You think you're choosing differently, but you're running the same program with a new person. This applies to work too. People who throw themselves into career achievements immediately after soul contract breaking show higher burnout rates 18 months later. Their achievement-based identity is fragile because it wasn't built on solid ground. The void would have given them solid ground. And spiritual bypassing? Jung called this premature integration, when someone intellectually understands their patterns but hasn't emotionally processed them. They can talk about shadow work. Quote Jung, explain attachment theory. But when they're triggered, same reactions. Because knowing about healing isn't healing. The neuroscience backs this up. Studies on habit formation show that trying to build new neural pathways while old pathways are still active creates interference effects. The old pathways interfere with the new ones. You need to weaken the old pathways first. That's the pruning process in stage 2, before new pathways can form strongly. Skip stage 2, you get interference. New patterns competing with old patterns. The old patterns usually win because they've been rehearsed for years, sometimes decades. So when I say the void cannot be skipped, I don't mean you can't skip it. You can. People do it all the time. I mean, if you skip it, you'll pay the price later. The void will wait for you. You can delay it, but you can't escape it. Better to go through it now, consciously, with practices, with support, than to crash back into it 5 years from now when you've built an entire life on false certainty. Your choice. So, let's go through it consciously. Here's your stage 2 practice, the energy audit. You're going to track your actual state daily for 1 week so you can see patterns instead of judging individual hard days. This takes 2 minutes per day. That's it. 2 minutes that will save you from months of self-judgment. Download the worksheet now. Link in description. I'll guide you through it. The energy audit has 6 categories. Each day you'll rate yourself 1 to 10 in each. 1 is barely functioning. 10 is fully alive. Most days in stage 2, you'll score 3 to 6. That's expected. We're not trying to get to 10. We're trying to track trends. Category 1, sleep quality. Not how many hours you slept, how rested you feel when you wake up. Some nights, you'll sleep 9 hours and wake up exhausted. That's a 3. Some nights, you'll sleep 6 hours but wake up relatively okay. That's a 6. Rate how rested you feel. Category 2, appetite. Are you eating? Does food have flavor, or is everything bland? If you're forcing yourself to eat and nothing tastes good, that's a 3 or 4. If appetite is returning and food is starting to taste normal, that's a 6 or 7. Category 3, social capacity. Could you handle a conversation today? Or is even a text message exhausting? In deep void, social capacity is a 2. As you stabilize, it might climb to 5 or 6. Rate honestly. Category 4, emotional state. Numbness is a 3 or 4. Active sadness is a 4 or 5. Moments of calm or okayness are a 6 or 7. Don't judge the number, just track it. Category 5, future visibility. Can you picture next week, next month, or is future completely blank? In deep void, future visibility is a 2. As neural pathways rebuild, it climbs to 5, 6, 7. Category 6, physical energy. Could you take a walk today, exercise, or is getting out of bed the only achievement? Rate your physical capacity every evening, 2 minutes. Rate all 6. Put them in the worksheet. Don't judge the numbers. Just observe. Here's why this matters. After 7 days, you'll see patterns. Maybe your sleep quality is improving from 3 to 5, but social capacity is still at 2. That tells you nervous system is stabilizing, but you're not ready for socializing yet. Honor that. Maybe appetite is returning, but future visibility is still blank. That tells you body is healing, but psyche is still in renovation. That's stage 2. You're not stuck, you're in process. And here's the most important insight from the energy audit. If all 6 categories are below 5 for more than 4 weeks, you're in survival mode. Your only job is baseline functioning. Eat if you can. Sleep when possible. Move your body gently. That's it. Don't expect yourself to heal or do shadow work or grow when you're at 3 across the board. Healing comes later when your system stabilizes to 5 or 6. You can't integrate trauma from survival mode. You can only survive it. The energy audit shows you where you are, so you stop judging yourself for not being somewhere else. Download the worksheet. Use it for 7 days. Then you'll know, are you still in acute stage 2, or are you transitioning to stage 3? Because here's what's about to happen. Somewhere in the next few weeks, you're going to feel something you haven't felt since the collapse. Anger. And that anger, contrary to what you've been taught, is sacred fuel. It's your life force returning. It's stage 3 beginning. And how you handle that anger will determine whether you integrate this experience or stay stuck for years. Let me show you what's coming. Stage 3 is where Jung's work becomes essential. You've been in survival. Stage 1, you were in crisis. Stage 2, you were empty. Now you have enough stability to look at something Jung spent his entire career documenting, something he called the shadow. And if you don't understand what's happening in stage 3, you'll take a path that leads to decades of bitterness instead of freedom. Stage 3 is where Jung's work becomes essential. Up until now, you've been in survival. Stage 1, you were in crisis. Stage 2, you were empty. Now you have enough stability to look at something Jung spent his entire career documenting, something he called the shadow. And if you don't understand what's happening in stage 3, you'll take a path that leads to decades of bitterness instead of freedom. Here's what he meant. During that soul contract, you suppressed aspects of yourself, your anger, your boundaries, your needs. You didn't do it consciously. You did it to survive. You became who you needed to be to keep that connection intact. That's not deception. That's adaptation. It's what humans do. But those suppressed parts, they didn't disappear. They went into what Jung called your shadow. The parts of yourself you rejected to maintain the relationship. And now that the contract is broken, the shadow is emerging. That's what the anger is. It's your rejected self demanding to be seen. Jung called this stage dangerous. Not because anger itself is dangerous, but because most people project the shadow outward instead of looking inward. It's so much easier to say, they're the narcissist, they're the problem, I'm the victim. That narrative feels good. It relieves you of responsibility. It gets you sympathy from friends. It's clean. But if you stay there, if you make that your identity, you miss the entire transformation. Because the real question isn't, why did they do this to me? The real question is, why did I choose this? What in me was attracted to this dynamic? What part of me stayed when every instinct said leave? Those questions are uncomfortable. They feel like victim blaming. I need you to hear me. They're not. Their behavior is still their responsibility. You didn't cause their actions. But your attraction to that dynamic, your willingness to stay, your inability to set boundaries, that's yours. And until you look at that, until you do what Jung called shadow integration, you'll choose the same dynamic again. Different person, same energy. Think of it like this. Imagine you keep getting the same type of infection. Different occasions, different locations, but the same infection. You can blame the bacteria all you want. You can talk about how terrible bacteria are. You can tell everyone your story about the infection. But until you ask, what in my immune system is vulnerable to this specific bacteria, until you strengthen that vulnerability, you'll keep getting infected. That's shadow work, not blaming yourself for the infection, but strengthening the vulnerability so you're not susceptible anymore. And here's why anger is sacred in stage 3. It means your life force is returning. In stage 1, you were depleted. In stage 2, you were empty. In stage 3, you have enough energy to feel rage. That's progress. That's your nervous system coming back online. Anger says, I deserved better. I will not accept this again. That's your boundaries forming. That's your self-respect rebuilding. Without anger, you drift into another soul contract just like the last one. But, and this is the fork I mentioned earlier, there are 2 types of anger. Productive anger, which fuels boundaries and transformation, and toxic anger, which becomes your identity and traps you for decades. Most people don't even realize they're choosing. They just react. And 5 years later, they're still angry, still talking about what happened, still defined by the wound. That's path B. In 2 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact fork point and how to recognize which path you're on. But first, you need to see what stage 3 looks like day to day so you know if you're entering it. So what does stage 3 actually look like? How do you know if you're entering it? There are 3 unmistakable signs. And if you're experiencing these right now, if your chest just tightened as I'm about to describe them, you're in stage 3. This is your stage. First sign, anger comes in waves, just like grief did in stage 1. You'll be fine. You'll be going about your day. Then something triggers you, a memory, a song on the radio. You see a couple that looks happy. And boom, fury. How dare they? After everything I gave, after everything I tolerated, after I bent myself into shapes I didn't even recognize just to make it work. The intensity can shock you. You've been numb for weeks, maybe months, and now you're enraged. You might even scare yourself with how strong it is. This is completely normal. Don't suppress it. But, and this is critical, don't act from it impulsively either. Feel it. Let it move through your body. But don't send the text. Don't call them. Don't post on social media. The anger is information. It's telling you something important about what you tolerated and what you'll never tolerate again. We'll talk about what to do with that anger in the practice section. Second sign, and this is harder than anger at them, anger at yourself. How did I not see the red flags? How did I tolerate that? Why did I stay so long? What was wrong with me? You'll cringe at past versions of yourself. You'll watch memories play in your mind and think, what was I doing? That wasn't even me. This is the shadow emerging. You're seeing clearly now how you abandoned yourself to keep that contract. The codependency, the people-pleasing, the ignoring your gut when it screamed at you to leave. It's painful to see. It's humbling. And this is the turning point. If you can look at your part, not their behavior, your part, without collapsing into shame, you can change the pattern. Jung documented this in dozens of cases. The patients who could face their shadow without defending against it, they transformed. They never repeated the pattern. The patients who defended, who insisted I had no choice, they manipulated me, I was powerless. They chose the same dynamic within 2 years. Different person, same contract. Modern psychology confirms this. Dr. Harville Hendricks's research on relationship patterns shows unconscious patterns repeat until they become conscious. You can't change what you won't see. Third sign, clarity. Things that were foggy in stage 2 become obvious. Oh, they never respected my boundaries because I never set boundaries. Or I chose them because they replicated my childhood dynamic with my father. I was trying to fix my father through this relationship. These insights come fast in stage 3. They'll hit you in the shower. Driving to work 3 a.m. when you can't sleep, write them down. Every single one, they're gold. This is the self-knowledge that prevents repetition. One person I worked with, let's call her Anna, had this insight in stage 3. I was attracted to their intensity because I confused intensity for intimacy. I thought if I felt a lot, it must be real love. But intensity is just intensity. It's not connection. It's nervous system activation. That insight changed her dating life forever. She started asking, do I feel intense or do I feel safe? Do I feel activated or do I feel seen? Those are different questions, and they lead to different choices. And your energy is returning, physical energy. You can focus again. Work doesn't feel impossible. You might even feel creative. Some people in stage 3 start new projects, reorganize their entire house, change their appearance. That's life force coming back online. But here's what you need to understand. That energy is fuel. And you're about to make a choice, consciously or unconsciously, about what you fuel with it. You can fuel transformation or you can fuel bitterness. Most people choose bitterness without realizing it because bitterness feels good in the moment. It's righteous. It bonds you with other wounded people. It gives you an identity. But 5 years later, you're still angry, still talking about what they did, still defined by the wound. That's path B. And once you're on it, it's hard to get off. So let me show you the fork. Here it is, the most important choice in your entire healing journey. 2 paths. Path A leads to stage 4, integration, and eventually, freedom. Path B leads to decades of bitterness, repeated patterns, and a life defined by what someone did to you 5, 10, 20 years ago. Most people take path B without realizing it. They don't wake up and say, I choose bitterness. They just start down that path with small choices, small thoughts, small stories they tell themselves, and 5 years later, they look around and realize, I'm stuck. I'm still angry. I'm still defined by this wound. I'm going to describe both paths. Pay very close attention to which one you're leaning toward right now, not which one you want to take, which one you're actually leaning toward. Be honest with yourself, because self-deception here costs you years. Path A, productive anger. Path A, productive anger, looks like this. You feel the rage, you don't suppress it, but you direct it into self-inquiry. I'm furious they crossed my boundaries. Why didn't I have clear boundaries to begin with? What in my childhood taught me that my boundaries don't matter? What was I afraid would happen if I said no? You use the anger as fuel to build what was missing. Boundaries, self-respect, discernment, standards. You take responsibility for your part, not their behavior, your attraction to it. You ask the hard questions. What wound in me was drawn to this dynamic? What did I get from this relationship that I couldn't give myself? Maybe you realize I was drawn to their confidence because I had none. I outsourced my self-worth to them. Or I was drawn to their intensity because my childhood was emotionally flat. I confused chaos for aliveness. This is shadow work. It's uncomfortable. You'll cry. You'll journal for hours. You'll face parts of yourself you'd rather not see. You'll realize how you betrayed yourself, how you ignored your intuition, how you made yourself small. But 6 months later, you're free. You genuinely don't think about them. You've transformed the pattern. You date differently. You show up in relationships differently. You choose differently. You can feel when someone's energy is wrong for you within 5 minutes. And you trust that feeling enough to walk away. Path A leads to stage 4, integration. That's where we're going. Path B, stuck anger. Path B, stuck anger. Looks like this. You feel the rage and you externalize it completely. They're the narcissist. They're the problem. If they would just apologize, if they would just admit what they did, if they would just see how they hurt me, then I could heal. You wait for closure from them. You obsess over getting them to understand. You tell everyone your story, staying in victim identity. Let me tell you what they did to me. And the story never changes. You tell it the same way every time with the same emotional charge year after year. The anger feels good. It's righteous. It bonds you with other wounded people. You find online communities of people who validate your victim story. You all agree narcissists are terrible. Empaths are exploited. The world is dangerous. But 5 years later, you're still angry. New relationships. You're hyper-vigilant. You see red flags everywhere. You assume everyone's a narcissist until proven otherwise. You've built an identity around being wounded. I'm a narcissistic abuse survivor becomes who you are, not something that happened to you. And here's the hard truth. You haven't healed. You've trauma bonded with your own story. You need the anger now. It gives you identity, community, purpose. Letting it go would mean losing all of that. So you hold on. Year after year, the bitterness calcifies. Path B doesn't lead to stage 4. It leads to being 50 years old, still talking about what someone did to you when you were 35. I've seen it dozens of times. It's heartbreaking because the person is stuck in a story from 15 years ago while life passes them by. The choice. You're at this fork right now. You might not feel like you're choosing, but you are. Every time you tell your story, ask yourself, am I telling it to process and release, or to stay in victim identity? Every time you feel angry, ask, am I using this to build boundaries and change my patterns, or to justify never trusting anyone again? Path A requires you to look at your shadow, to see your part, to take responsibility for your choices even when you didn't have great options. It requires you to stop waiting for them to give you closure. It requires you to close the chapter yourself. Path B lets you avoid all of that. It lets you stay in the story where you're the good one and they're the bad one. It gives you sympathy. It's easier initially, but only Path A leads to freedom. And I need you to choose Path A. Not because I'm judging Path B. I understand why people take it. But because you're here 25 minutes into a video about Jungian psychology and shadow work. You're not here by accident. You're here because something in you knows, I have to do the hard work. I have to look at my shadow. I have to integrate this. Comment prompt. For 1, 2630. Before we continue, pause and comment. Are you leaning toward Path A, shadow work, or Path B, staying in anger? Be completely honest, no judgment. Your answer helps me understand where you are, so let's do it. Let's do the practice that Jung used with his patients for shadow integration. It's called the mirror technique, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's also going to set you free. Okay? If you're choosing Path A, and I deeply hope you are, here's your stage 3 practice. It's called the mirror technique. Jung used this with his patients for shadow integration, and it works. But it's going to be uncomfortable. Your ego is going to resist. That resistance is the shadow. What you're about to feel, defensiveness, anger, the urge to close this video, that's your shadow protecting itself from being seen. Stay with me. This practice takes 5 to 7 minutes. You'll need something to write with. Your phone notes app works, a journal works, whatever you have right now. If you're driving, don't do this practice while driving. Save this timestamp and come back to it later when you can write. For everyone else, pause this video if you need to grab your journal. I'll wait. Okay, you ready? This is going to reveal something about yourself that you haven't wanted to see. That's the point. Let's begin. Step 1. List what you hate about them. First step. Write down 3 to 5 traits you hate about that person, the one who broke the soul contract. Not vague things like, they were selfish. Specific behaviors. They made plans without considering my schedule. They criticized me in front of others. They used guilt to manipulate me into canceling my plans. They never apologized, even when they were clearly wrong. They took credit for my ideas at work. Specific, behavioral, the things that made you furious. Take a minute right now. Write down 3 to 5 traits. I'm going to give you silence to do this. You're at 0.5. Good. Now you have your list. Look at it. These are the traits that triggered you most intensely during that relationship. The ones that made you feel rage, hurt, betrayed. Here's what most people don't understand. Those traits triggered you so intensely because they mirror something in your shadow. Not the exact behavior, the energy behind it. Stay with me. This is where it gets uncomfortable. Step 2. Find your version. Step 2. For each trait on your list, ask yourself this question. Write it down first so you remember it. Where do I do a version of this? Not, do I do this to others? But where do I do this to myself, to my own life? In what context? Let me show you what I mean with examples, because your ego is going to try to skip this step. It's going to say, I would never do what they did. And you're right. You probably wouldn't do it the same way, but you do it somewhere. Let's find it. Example 1. They ignored my needs. Your version might not be ignoring others' needs. Your version might be ignoring your own needs. Do you push through exhaustion instead of resting? Do you say yes when your body is screaming no? Do you skip meals because you're too busy? Do you ignore your intuition when it tells you something's wrong? That's ignoring needs. You were furious they ignored your needs because you've been ignoring them for years. The rage you felt toward them? That's rage at yourself, projected outward. Example 2. They were controlling. Your version might not be controlling people, but where are you controlling? Do you micromanage at work because no one else does it right? Do you refuse to delegate? Do you try to control outcomes in your life? How people perceive you, how situations unfold, what people think? That's control. You attracted a controlling partner because control is in your shadow. You needed to see it externalized to recognize it in yourself. Example 3. They lied. Your version might not be lying to others, but where do you lie to yourself? I'm fine. I don't need help. This relationship is good. I'm just being too sensitive. I don't mind, really. Self-deception is lying every time you said, I'm fine, when you weren't. That was a lie. You were enraged by their lies because lies are your shadow. You hate in them what you can't acknowledge in yourself. This is the mirror. They showed you what you couldn't see in yourself. And this is why shadow work is so powerful and why most people avoid it. It's easier to say, they're the narcissist, than to ask, what narcissistic traits am I avoiding in myself? Now take each trait on your list, one by one. Ask, where do I do a version of this? Write it down. Be specific. This is for you, not for anyone else's judgment. The more honest you are here, the more you'll transform. I'm going to give you 2 minutes of silence. Work through your list. Find your version of each trait. That's I'll count 5. Step 3, integration action. Okay, look at what you wrote. Those are your shadow traits. The parts of yourself you rejected, denied, or couldn't see. And here's what Jung understood. You can't eliminate the shadow. You can only integrate it, transform it from its toxic form into its healthy form. So for each shadow trait you identified, write one integration action. What's the healthy version of this trait? How do you evolve it? Shadow trait, ignoring my needs. Integration action. I will practice honoring one need per day this week, even if it's just resting for 10 minutes when I'm tired. Shadow trait, controlling outcomes. Integration action. I will delegate one task this week without micromanaging how it's done. I will tolerate it being done differently than I would do it. Shadow trait, self-deception, lying to myself. Integration action. When someone asks how I am, I will tell the truth at least once this week, even if it's uncomfortable, even if they don't know what to do with my honesty. See the pattern. You're not rejecting the trait. You're evolving it into its healthy form. Control becomes healthy boundaries. Ignoring needs becomes self-care. Lying becomes radical honesty. Take each shadow trait, write one integration action, small, specific, doable this week. Look at what you just did. That's shadow work. In 5 minutes, you identified the pattern that's been running your life, probably for decades. The pattern that drew you into that soul contract. The pattern that, if left unconscious, would draw you into the exact same dynamic within a year. But now, it's conscious. You can see it, and what's conscious can be changed. Your ego probably resisted this entire practice. That's normal. You might feel defensive right now. This isn't victim blaming, is it? Am I excusing their behavior? No. Their behavior is still their responsibility. They're accountable for what they did. But your attraction to that dynamic, your decision to stay, your inability to set boundaries, that's yours. And taking responsibility for your part, not all of it, your part, is what sets you free. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Maria, the woman I mentioned in stage 1 whose collapse lasted 6 weeks, did the mirror technique in month 4. One of her shadow traits? I abandoned myself to keep others comfortable. She realized she chose a partner who demanded she abandon herself because abandoning herself was already her pattern. She did it with her mother, her friends, her boss. The partner just made it obvious. Her integration action. I will say no to one request per week without explaining why. She started small. Someone asked her to cover a shift at work. Old Maria would have said yes and resented it. New Maria said, I can't. Didn't explain, just I can't. The first time, her hand shook. She felt guilt for 3 hours, but she did it. Week 2, she had said no to a friend who always dumped emotional baggage on her. Week 3, no to her mother's guilt trip. By month 6, boundaries were automatic. She didn't have to think about it. She'd integrated the shadow. And 8 months after her soul contract broke, she's in a completely different type of relationship. Someone who respects her boundaries because she has them now. That's the power of shadow integration. It's not theory, it's transformation. And if you're feeling resistance right now, if you're thinking, I'll do this later, or this doesn't apply to me, that's your shadow talking. It doesn't want to be seen. That's exactly why you need to see it. Rehook, Arbor 3250. You just completed shadow work that took Jung's patients years to achieve. The good 0.5. But here's what most people don't realize about stage 3. And it's the reason some people transform in 90 days, while others stay angry for decades. The difference comes down to one daily choice. Let me show you the timeline first, then I'll reveal what that choice is. Okay, You've done the mirror technique, or you've at least seen how it works. That's Stage 3 shadow work. Let's talk about how long Stage 3 lasts and what the transition to Stage 4 looks like. Stage 3 typically lasts 2 to 4 months, and it's not linear. You're going to have volatility here. Anger spikes, then crashes back to Stage 2 numbness. That's normal. Your nervous system is recalibrating. The first month of Stage 3, volatile. Anger hits you out of nowhere. You'll be fine. Then you'll be furious. You're still learning to recognize it as information, not identity. You'll probably slip into path B thinking a few times. You'll tell your story like a victim. You'll catch yourself and think, wait, that's not the whole truth. I had agency. I made choices. Month 2, the anger becomes more sustained, not spikes, more like a low simmer. You're not just reactive anymore. You're using it as fuel. You're doing shadow work. You're setting boundaries probably for the first time in your life, and it feels awkward, but you're doing it. Month 3, insights accelerate. The patterns become so obvious you can't believe you didn't see them before. I've been choosing emotionally unavailable people since I was 16. Oh my God, that's a pattern. You start to see your parents' relationship in your choices. You see your childhood wounds playing out in adult dynamics. Everything connects. Month 4, you're implementing boundaries. You're testing the new patterns. You say no, and don't spiral into guilt for 3 days. You speak up and don't replay the conversation for a week. You set a standard and don't immediately lower it when someone pushes back. This is when you're transitioning to Stage 4, your milestone for Stage 3. Here's how you know you're ready for Stage 4, for integration. The first time you set a boundary without guilt, spiraling afterward. Not, I said no and felt okay for 2 hours, then collapsed into shame. But I said no. I felt momentary discomfort. Then I moved on with my day. When you can do that, when a boundary is just a boundary, not a moral crisis, you're ready. Your anger has done its job. It built what was missing. Now it's time to live from that new structure, and here's how you'll know Stage 4 is beginning. Stability, not excitement, not dramatic breakthroughs, not I'm healed euphoria, just stability. You wake up and the day feels manageable. You think about the person who broke the soul contract, and there's no emotional charge. Not forgiveness, neutrality. They're a person who exists. That's it. No story, no meaning you have to make, no lesson you have to prove you learned. They're just a person. You notice you're making different choices, small ones at first. You decline an invitation that would have drained you. You speak up in a meeting where you would have stayed silent. You don't text someone back immediately just because they texted you. These tiny shifts, that's integration. You're living from the new structure now. The boundaries you set in Stage 3 with conscious effort, they're becoming automatic. You don't have to think, should I say no here? Your body just knows. You've integrated them into who you are. Maria, our Stage 1 example, who did the mirror technique. Here's what Stage 4 looked like for her. She started dating someone new. First date, he canceled last minute. Old Maria, even Stage 3 Maria, would have spiraled. He's not interested. I'm too much. Maybe I shouldn't have. Stage 4. Maria, she texted back. No problem. Let me know when you'd like to reschedule. Then went about her day. No catastrophizing, no people-pleasing, no internal narrative. Just a simple response from a grounded place. He rescheduled. They've been together 8 months now. That's integration. Not dramatic, just different, consistent. grounded, automatic. But here's what you need to know. Most people never reach stage 4. They do some shadow work in stage 3, get some insights, feel empowered for a few weeks, then stop. They think, I'm healed. They go back to old environments, old friends who don't match their new frequency, old habits. And within 6 months, they're repeating the same soul contract dynamic with a different person. Why? Because insight without integration is just information. Stage 3 shows you the pattern. Stage 4 is living differently every single day for months, until the new pattern becomes your default. Most people aren't willing to do that. They want the breakthrough without the maintenance. They want the transformation without the daily practice, and that's why they repeat the cycle. But you're 33 minutes into a video about Jungian psychology, neuroscience, and shadow work. You just did or watched someone do the mirror technique. You're not most people. You're willing to do what most people won't, so you're going to reach stage 4. You're going to integrate, and in about 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. The timeline, the practices, the challenges, and the paradox that makes stage 4 the longest stage. But you'll make it through, because making it to stage 4 means you're no longer running the old pattern. You're free from the cycle. Stage 3 is awakening. You see the pattern, you feel the anger, you do shadow work, you set boundaries. Stage 4 is integration. You live the new pattern daily until it's not new anymore. It's just who you are, from awakening to integration, from seeing to being, from conscious effort to automatic. That's the journey from stage 3 to stage 4. And once you're in stage 4, you're on the path to stage 5, freedom. But stage 4 is long, 2 to 4 month minimum, sometimes longer. Because integration isn't a single moment. It's 1,000 small moments where you choose differently, where you honor the boundary, where you speak the truth, where you don't abandon yourself. 1,000 moments every day, until one day you realize, I don't have to try to have boundaries. I just have them. That's stage 4. And we're going there next. You've been in the awakening. You've felt the anger. You've looked at your shadow. You've set your first boundaries. Now it's time for the longest, most crucial stage, integration. Living from your new structure every single day until it becomes who you are. Let's go there now. If you're here, you've already done what most people won't. You've faced your shadow. You've chosen path A. That alone puts you ahead of 80% of people who experience soul contract breaking. Now, stage 4 is where that choice becomes your lived reality. This is the longest stage, and the most important. Here's why most people never reach stage 4. They mistake insight for transformation. Stage 3 gives you clarity. You see the patterns. You understand the shadow. You feel empowered by boundaries. And many people think, I'm healed. Then they stop. They don't practice living from the new structure. They go back to old environments, old relationships, old habits. And within 6 months, they're repeating the same soul contract dynamic with a different person. Not because they didn't learn, because they didn't integrate. Jung called stage 4 individuation, becoming who you actually are, not who you adapted yourself to be. This isn't about self-improvement. It's about stripping away everything that isn't you until only your authentic structure remains. And that requires practice. Daily practice for months. Most people aren't willing to do that work. They want the breakthrough, not the maintenance. But the breakthrough without integration, it disappears. Neuroscience explains why practice is non-negotiable. In stage 3, you created new neural pathways. I can say no. I can set boundaries. I can honor my needs. Those pathways exist now, but they're fragile, like trails in a forest that haven't been walked enough. Your old pathways? Those are highways. Decades of practice made them automatic. When you're tired, stressed, triggered, you default to the highway. The old pattern. Integration is walking the new trail every single day until it becomes a path, then a road, then a highway. Neuroscientists call this myelination, the process of strengthening neural connections through repetition. It takes 2 to 4 months of consistent practice for a new pattern to become automatic. Not occasional practice, daily. This is why stage 4 is the longest. You're rewiring your brain at the structural level, and that requires time and repetition, no shortcuts. So how do you know you're in stage 4? 3 unmistakable signs. First sign, emotional neutrality. When you think about them, there's no charge. Not, I've forgiven them energy, neutrality. They're a person who exists. You're not wishing them well. You're not hoping they suffer. They're just irrelevant. You might see a photo and feel nothing, or hear their name and not tense up. This neutrality is what Jung meant by transcending the opposites. You're no longer in the love-hate binary. You've stepped outside it. People will ask, have you forgiven them? You might not have. Forgiveness isn't required for integration. What's required is that they no longer have power over your nervous system. When someone mentions them and your heart rate doesn't spike, that's the sign. Your body has integrated the pattern. Second sign, automatic boundaries. In stage 3, every boundary required conscious choice. Should I say yes? Can I say no? How will they react? Stage 4, boundaries are automatic. Someone asks something that would drain you, and no comes out of your mouth before you've consciously decided. Not rudely, naturally, like breathing. Your system knows what's aligned and what's not. You'll notice this first in small moments. A text comes in. Old, you would have responded immediately. Integrated you respond when you have capacity. No guilt. A friend suggests plans. Old, you would have said yes to keep the peace. Integrated, you evaluate. Do I want this? If no, you decline. It's that simple. The complexity is gone. This is what integrated boundaries feel like. Natural. Third sign, different people start appearing in your life. Not because you're manifesting or raising your vibration, because you're showing up differently. Your energy has changed. You're no longer broadcasting, I need to be needed, or please validate me. You're broadcasting, I'm whole. And that attracts whole people. Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people found that when individuals establish healthy boundaries, their social networks naturally reorganize within 2 to 3 months. Not through conscious filtering, through energetic alignment. You'll notice conversations are different. Less surface, more substance. Less performing, more presence. People who would have drained you before, they don't stick around. Not because you reject them. They self-select out. Your new frequency doesn't match their needs. And the people who do show up, they meet you at your depth. These are your people. The ones who see you, not the role you used to play. Timeline and milestones. Stage 4 typically lasts 2 to 4 months. Month 1, conscious practice of new patterns. Month 2, some moments feel automatic. Month 3, more automatic than effortful. Month 4, new patterns are your default. Your milestone for stage 4, going an entire week without thinking about the soul contract. Not because you're avoiding, because you're genuinely engaged with your present life. When that week happens, you're transitioning to stage 5. Freedom is close. Okay, here's your stage 4 practice, boundary scripts. Stage 3 was about understanding why you need boundaries. Stage 4 is living them. You're going to learn 5 specific phrases you can use in any situation where someone crosses a line. These aren't rules, they're templates. You'll adapt them to your voice. Script 1, the soft no for low-stakes situations. Someone asks you to do something you don't want to do. Don't explain, don't apologize. I appreciate you thinking of me, but that doesn't work for me right now. Period. Watch what happens. Most people will accept it. If they push, you repeat, it doesn't work for me. Don't justify, argue, defend, explain. The more you explain, the more ammunition you give them to negotiate. It doesn't work for me is complete. Script 2. The firm no for persistent people. They asked once. You said no, they're asking again. I've already answered this. My answer is still no. Tone matters here. Not angry, firm. You're not attacking them. You're holding a line. If they push again, I'm not discussing this further. Then physically remove yourself if possible. Walk away, end the call, leave the room. Boundary without enforcement is just a suggestion. Script 3, the truth teller. For when someone asks, "How are you?" and you're tired of saying, "Fine." Stage 4 is about truth. I'm struggling today, actually. Or, not great, but I'm handling it. Most people won't know what to do with honesty. That's okay. You're not performing for their comfort anymore. The right people will appreciate your authenticity. The wrong people will leave. Let them. Script 4. The need communicator for intimate relationships where you're learning to ask for what you need. This is hard. Empaths are trained to anticipate others' needs, not voice their own. I need specific thing from you. Can you do that? Not, I wish you would. Not, it would be nice if. Clear request. If they say no, you have information. They're telling you they can't meet that need. Believe them. Don't convince, don't cajole. Accept the data and decide accordingly. Script 5, the family diplomat for family members who call you too sensitive or dramatic. This one's loaded. I understand you see it that way. I see it differently. We don't have to agree. No convincing. No defending your reality. You're not asking permission to have boundaries. You're informing them boundaries exist. If they escalate, I'm going to go now. We can talk when we're both calm. Then leave. Literally, leave the house. End the call. Protecting your peace is not rude. These 5 scripts cover most situations. Practice them out loud, alone, in front of a mirror. Say the words until they don't feel awkward. Your mouth needs muscle memory. The first few times you use these in real life, your voice might shake. That's fine. Boundaries don't require confidence. They require consistency. Download the complete Boundary Scripts worksheet, link in description. It has 25+ scripts for every scenario. Work, family, dating, friends. Use them this week. Once per day, set one boundary using a script. Start small, low stakes. Build the muscle. By week 4, boundaries will feel natural. This is stage 4 work, integrating what you learned into how you live. Quick check. Which of the 5 boundary scripts will you use this week? Comment the number, script 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Let's create accountability together. Now, there's a paradox in stage 4 nobody talks about. You'll grieve what you lost and celebrate who you're becoming simultaneously. Let me explain what I mean. The integration paradox. Stage 4 isn't linear relief. It's both and. You'll have days where you mourn the person you used to be, the version who said yes to everything, who bent themselves to fit, who prioritized everyone else's comfort over their own truth. That person is gone. And even though you know the new you is healthier, freer, more whole, there's grief in that death. You might miss how easy it was to people please, how simple relationships felt when you had no boundaries, how comfortable it was to hide. But you'll also have moments of profound celebration. You'll say no without guilt and feel powerful, clean, aligned. You'll speak your truth and watch someone actually hear you. You'll set a boundary and realize, I'm protecting myself, not from cruelty, from myself abandoning me. Both are true. The grief and the celebration. Most people try to rush past the grief to get to the celebration. Don't. The grief is honoring what had to die for you to be born. It's sacred. Feel it, then let it go. Here's what this looks like in practice. Maria, our example throughout, in stage 4. She had a moment at her mother's house. Her mother asked her to stay late and help with something. Old Maria would have said yes. Stage 3. Maria would have said no and felt guilty for days. Stage 4. Maria said, I can't today, Mom. I have plans. Her mother pushed. What plans? You can reschedule. And Maria felt the old pattern trying to activate, the guilt, the urge to explain to make her mother comfortable. But she just repeated, I have plans, and left. In the car, she cried, not because she regretted the boundary, because she realized, I just chose myself over my mother's comfort for the first time in 34 years. That's grief. That's also freedom. That's the paradox. Hold both. Don't choose between them. Integration means accepting that transformation costs something. You lose the old self, you gain the real self. Both truths exist. Stage 4, timeline. In detail. Month 1. You're practicing boundaries consciously. You use the scripts. You mess up half the time. You say yes when you meant no, then beat yourself up. That's normal. You're learning. Give yourself grace. Month 2. Some boundaries feel easier. Maybe at work you're getting good at saying, I don't have capacity for that. But with family, still hard. That's expected. Practice where it's easier first. Build the muscle. The hard ones will come. Month 3. You notice you're making different choices without thinking about it. You decline an invitation and don't feel guilty. You don't respond to a text for 3 hours and don't worry you've hurt someone. Small wins accumulating. Month 4. The new patterns are becoming default. You're not trying to have boundaries. You just have them. Someone crosses a line and your body knows before your mind does. You feel the no in your gut. You trust it, you say it, you move on. That's integration. Not perfect, not dramatic, just different, consistently different, day after day after day. Your work this week. Download the Boundary Scripts worksheet. Choose one script. Practice it out loud 5 times, then use it once this week. Just once, in a low-stakes situation. Notice what happens in your body. The guilt. Feel it. Don't act from it. The fear they'll be mad. Let it be there. Hold the boundary anyway. The relief afterward. Savor it. That's your nervous system learning. Boundaries keep us safe. Do that once this week, then do it again next week and the week after. By month 4, you won't need the scripts anymore. The boundaries will just be. That's how integration happens. Not in one moment of epiphany. In 1,000 small moments where you choose yourself, where you honor your truth, where you don't abandon you to keep someone else comfortable. 1,000 small moments. every single day, until one day you realize I don't have to try to be me anymore. I just am. That's stage 4. That's individuation. That's becoming who you actually are underneath all the adaptation. And once you're there, once the boundaries are automatic, once the new patterns are your default, you're ready for stage 5, freedom, the final stage, where you're not just surviving or healing or integrating, you're living fully as yourself. Here's the trap that keeps people one step away from freedom for years. You've done the work. You've collapsed, survived the void, integrated your shadow, built boundaries. You're living differently, choosing differently. You're in stage 4, maybe even transitioning to stage 5. But there's this tiny voice. If they would just apologize, if they would just acknowledge what they did, if they would just see me, then I could be free. You're 95% there, but that 5%, it's a chain. And in stage 5, I'm going to show you how to break it. Here's the trap that keeps people one step away from freedom for years. You've done the work. You've collapsed, survived the void, integrated your shadow, built boundaries. You're living differently, choosing differently. You're in stage 4, maybe even transitioning to stage 5. But there's this tiny voice. If they would just apologize, if they would just acknowledge what they did, if they would just see me, then I could be free. You're 95% there, but that 5%? It's a chain, and Jung warned about this exact trap. He called it spiritual materialism, doing all the inner work, but still needing external validation that the work happened. You've integrated the shadow. You've set the boundaries. You've become someone new. But you're waiting for them to witness it, to say, you were right, I was wrong. I see you now. It's like climbing a mountain for months, reaching the summit, then standing there waiting for the person at the bottom to look up and notice. Your freedom shouldn't depend on whether they're looking. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. They're probably not going to apologize. They're probably not going to gain that level of self-awareness. They're probably going to move on to the next soul contract, repeat the same patterns, and never look back. And if your freedom depends on their acknowledgement, you'll wait forever. Stage 5 is the hardest stage for a different reason than the others. Stage 1 through 4, you're doing the work, collapsing, surviving, integrating, practicing. Stage 5 asks you to let go of the one thing that feels like it would make all that work mean something, their validation, their remorse. They're finally understanding what they put you through. But what if I told you that needing their closure is actually keeping you in a subtle version of the same dynamic that hurt you in the first place? What if the final step of freedom is realizing you were never actually bound to them? You were bound to the story you told about them. Change the story and you're free. Let me show you what that looks like. Stage 5, freedom, doesn't look the way most people think. It's not forgetting what happened. It's not letting them off the hook. It's not spiritual bypassing where you pretend everything was meant to be and you're grateful for the lesson in some performative way. Real freedom is specific. Let me show you exactly what it looks like. First sign, genuine gratitude, not performed. Genuine. You think about the soul contract, and you feel thank you, not I forgive you energy, not I'm over it. Just thank you for showing me what I needed to see. Thank you for breaking the contract, because I wouldn't have done it myself. Thank you for being the catalyst I needed to become this version of myself. Neuroscience research on post-traumatic growth shows that when people reach genuine gratitude, not forced but authentic, their brain scans show decreased amygdala reactivity to trauma memories. The memory exists, but it no longer triggers a threat response. That's integration at the neurological level. This gratitude doesn't excuse their behavior. They're still responsible for what they did. But you're no longer waiting for them to be punished to feel okay. You're okay regardless. Maria, remember her from stage 1, the therapist whose collapse lasted 6 weeks? She's in stage 5 now, 14 months later. She told me, I was writing in my journal and I wrote, "Thank you for leaving," and I meant it. Not because I'm glad he hurt me, but because the person I am now, I wouldn't trade her for anything, not even to undo the pain. That's stage 5 gratitude, authentic, complex, both and. Second sign, you have zero desire for revenge, not suppressed desire. Zero. You don't wish them harm. You don't hope they suffer. You don't fantasize about them realizing what they lost. You just don't think about them that way anymore. They're living their life. You're living yours. If you heard they were happy, you'd feel nothing. Maybe a slight good for them. If you heard they were struggling, compassion, but no satisfaction. No serves them right. No schadenfreude. That's freedom. You're so full in your own life that their life is irrelevant to your well-being. It's like two rivers that merged for a while, then split into separate paths again. You're not upstream throwing rocks into their river. You're not downstream checking if their water is cleaner or dirtier than yours. You're just two rivers flowing in different directions. That's it. Third sign, purpose emerges. Not, I'm going to help others heal from narcissistic abuse in a codependent, I need to save everyone way. Real purpose. You want to use what you learned to serve, but from overflow, not depletion. Maybe you become a therapist. Maybe you write about your experience. Maybe you're just a better friend to someone going through a breakup. Maybe you start a support group. Maybe you create art from it. The form doesn't matter. What matters is the wound has become medicine. Jung documented this in dozens of cases. Patients who integrated their deepest wounds became the most effective healers, not because they had to make meaning of the pain to survive it, but because integration naturally leads to service. When you're healed, you want to help? It's not a should, it's an organic impulse. Modern psychology calls this post-traumatic growth. The phenomenon where people who've integrated trauma report higher levels of compassion, purpose, and life satisfaction than they had before the trauma, not despite the trauma, because of it, because they did the work. But let me be clear, healing isn't linear, even in stage 5. You might be here for months, genuinely free, and then something triggers you back to stage 3 anger for a day. A song, a smell, an anniversary. You'll feel rage again, grief again, confusion again. That's not regression. That's a spiral. You're not going backwards. You're revisiting at a higher level, seeing something you couldn't see before, integrating another layer. Then you return to stage 5, more integrated than before. Healing is a spiral staircase, not a straight line. Every time you circle back, you're higher than you were. Don't mistake circular motion for lack of progress. You're ascending. This continues for life. You don't arrive at healed and stay there forever. You deepen. You integrate more layers. Stage 5 isn't a destination. It's a baseline you return to again and again, each time more rooted. Okay? Here's how you actually live in Stage 5. Your Stage 5 practice is called purpose journaling. You're going to answer 3 questions that transform your experience from something that happened to you into something that happened for your evolution. Not spiritual bypassing, not toxic positivity, completion. This takes 10 minutes. Download the worksheet, link in description. This is the final practice in the 5-stage journey. Let me walk you through it. Question 1. What did this soul contract teach me about myself? Not what they did, what you learned about you. Maybe I abandoned myself to keep others comfortable. I ignore red flags because I want to believe in potential. I confuse intensity for intimacy. I give my power away to people who don't value it. Write it down. Specific lessons. This isn't about them. It's about the patterns in you that drew you to that dynamic. And I want you to be brutally honest here. This is for you, not for anyone else's judgment. The more honest you are, the more integrated you become. Take 2 minutes. Write. Drukya 0.5. Question 2. Who do I want to become because of this experience? Not better in some vague way. Specific. Maybe I want to be someone who sets boundaries without guilt. I want to be someone who trusts my gut on first impression. I want to be someone who chooses aligned relationships over intense ones. I want to be someone who knows my worth isn't measured by who wants me. This is your North Star, the person you're becoming. Write it down. Use I want to be someone who. Format 3 to 5 traits. Take 2 minutes. 005. Question 3. How can I serve others with this wisdom? Not save others, not martyr yourself. Not codependently rescue everyone from their own soul contracts. Serve from overflow. Maybe I can be the friend who validates without fixing. I can share my story when it's relevant to help someone feel less alone. I can hold space for others' complexity without needing them to be okay. I can teach what I learned. Small ways. You don't have to become a therapist or write a book or start a nonprofit. Just be a human who's integrated their pain and can hold space for others' pain without trying to manage it. Write it down. 2 to 3 specific ways. Take 2 minutes. The 0.5 here. Now, read what you wrote. That's your completion. The soul contract broke. You collapsed, went through the void, awakened to your shadow, integrated new patterns, and now you're free. With purpose. That's the full cycle. Download the worksheet. Do this journaling once a month for the next 6 months. Each time, you'll see deeper layers. You'll answer differently. That's the spiral. Integration deepening. Comment prompt number 3, bar 5630. If you made it this far, you're serious about transformation. Comment how many months it's been since your soul contract broke. Let's see where everyone is on the timeline. But before we close this entire roadmap, I need to tell you the final truth about closure. Because this is where most people, even people who've done all the work, stay stuck. You won't get closure from them. The apology you want, it's probably not coming. The acknowledgement of harm, not happening. The moment where they finally see you, understand what they put you through, feel genuine remorse, fantasy. And here's the liberation. You don't need it. You never did. Closure is a story you tell yourself when the pain has integrated. That happened. I learned this. I'm different now. The chapter is closed. You close it, not them. You've been waiting for permission to move on. Permission from them, permission from the universe, permission from some external authority that says, yes, you've suffered enough. Yes, you can be free now. Here's your permission. You're allowed to close the chapter right now, today, this moment. They don't have to apologize. They don't have to grow. They don't have to become a better person. They don't have to get it. They get to be exactly who they are, living their life, making their choices, repeating their patterns. And you get to be free anyway. Their journey is theirs. Yours is yours. You were never actually bound to them. You were bound to the story you told about them, about what their behavior meant about you, about what you needed from them to feel whole. Change the story, and you're free. Stage 5. Freedom looks like this. They could apologize tomorrow, and it wouldn't change anything for you, not because you're bitter or closed off, but because you're not waiting anymore. You're not holding space for their redemption arc. You're living. That's completion. That's the rebirth. You didn't just survive the soul contract breaking. You became someone new because it broke. Someone more whole, more boundaried, more sovereign. Someone who doesn't lose themselves in relationships. Someone who trusts themselves first. That person, they're being born right now. In the pain, in the confusion, in the work you're doing. And one day, maybe it's already happened. Maybe it's coming soon. You'll wake up and realize you didn't lose them. You found you, and that's the gift hidden in the pain. You now have the complete 5-stage roadmap. From collapse to freedom, from devastation to rebirth. In the next 7 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what to do this week, your week 1 practice, based on which stage you're in, and how to access every resource you need to walk this path. Let's bring it all together. You've just learned the complete 5-stage roadmap. Let's recap so you know exactly where you are and what's next. Stage 1, the collapse. 2 to 8 weeks, physical and emotional crisis. Your nervous system in shock. Your practice, somatic grounding 3 times daily. Feet on ground, deep breaths, gentle shaking. Your milestone. The first morning you don't immediately think of them. That 7-second gap. You're transitioning to Stage 2. Stage 2, the void. 1 to 3 months. Emptiness. Identity confusion. I don't know who I am anymore. Your brain is pruning old neural pathways built around that relationship. Your practice, energy audit. Track your state daily. Sleep, appetite, social capacity, emotional state, future visibility, physical energy. Don't fill the void prematurely. No rebound relationships, no work obsession, no spiritual bypassing. Let your brain complete the renovation, your milestone. First morning, you go several hours without thinking of them. That's when Stage 3's anger starts rising. Stage 3, the awakening. 2 to 4 months. Anger returns. Your life force coming back. Critical fork here, Path A. Productive anger, shadow work, asking, why did I choose this? What in me was attracted to this dynamic? Path B. Stuck anger, victim identity, waiting for them to apologize. Path A leads to integration. Path B leads to decades of bitterness. Your practice, mirror technique. List what you hate about them. Find your version of those traits in your shadow. Integrate, don't project. Your milestone. Setting a boundary without guilt, spiraling for 3 days. Stage 4. The integration. 2 to 4 months. Longest stage. Living from your new structure every single day until it becomes automatic. Your practice? Boundary scripts. 5 phrases for every situation. Soft, no, firm, no, truth teller, need communicator, family diplomat. Repeat until boundaries feel natural, not effortful. The integration paradox. You'll grieve what you lost and celebrate who you're becoming. Both are true. Your milestone, 1 full week without thinking about the soul contract. Stage 5, the freedom, ongoing, genuine gratitude, zero revenge desire, purpose emerging from the wound becoming medicine, closure from within. You don't need their apology. Your practice, purpose, journaling monthly. What did this teach me? Who do I want to become? How can I serve others with this wisdom? That's the complete map. 12 months, average, some faster, some slower. Your timeline is your timeline. Now you know where you are, okay? You now have the map. Here's what you do. This week, not someday, this week, if you're in stage 1, the collapse, your week. 1 practice, somatic grounding 3 times daily, morning, afternoon, evening. Set 3 phone alarms. It's 3 minutes, each session, 9 minutes total per day. You can do this. Download the Stage 1 worksheet now, link in description. Track each session. Don't expect dramatic shifts. You're stabilizing your nervous system. That's the only goal. And critical, no big decisions, no quitting your job, no moving cities, no new relationships. 8-week freeze on major changes. Feel the feelings, delay the decisions. If you're in stage 2, the void, your week 1 practice, energy audit, every evening for 7 days. Rate yourself 1 to 10 in 6 categories. Sleep, appetite, social capacity, emotional state, future visibility, physical energy. Don't judge the numbers. Track trends. After 7 days, you'll see patterns. If everything's below 5, you're in survival mode. Your only job is baseline functioning. No expectations to heal yet. Download the Stage 2 worksheet now. If you're in Stage 3, the awakening, your week. 1 practice mirror technique once this week. Pick 1 person who hurt you. List 3 to 5 traits you hate about them. Find your version of each trait. Write 1 integration action per trait. This will be uncomfortable. Do it anyway. Resistance is the shadow. Download the Stage 3 worksheet now. If you're in Stage 4, the integration, your week 1 practice. Use 1 boundary script per day for 7 days. Start small, low-stakes situations. Practice saying no, communicating needs, telling the truth when someone asks how you are. Your voice might shake. That's fine. Boundaries don't require confidence. They require consistency. Download the Stage 4 worksheet now. If you're in Stage 5, the freedom, your week. 1 practice, purpose journaling. Answer the 3 questions. What did this teach me about myself? Who do I want to become? How can I serve others with this wisdom? 10 minutes. Then live your life. You're free. Check in monthly to see deeper layers. Download the Stage 5 worksheet now. That's it. 1 practice this week. Don't try to do all 5. Do the one for your stage. Start today, not tomorrow. Today. You're not alone in this. Thousands of people are walking this path right now. Here's how to connect. First, comment below which stage you're in. Just write 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I'll reply to every comment with personalized guidance for your stage. This creates a map of where everyone is. You'll see others in your stage. You're not alone. Second, download the complete Rebirth workbook. It has all 5 worksheets, plus a stage tracker, timeline graphic, and bonus resources. Free. Link in description. This is your offline guide. Print it, use it, come back to it. Third, join the community. I host a weekly Q&A every Sunday, where we go deeper on specific challenges. Link in description. And if you want ongoing support, weekly practices, community discussions, monthly live calls, the membership is open, not required, but available if you want to go deeper. Link below. Fourth, subscribe to the weekly newsletter. Every Monday, I send one practice for whichever stage you're in, plus stories from people walking the path and Q&A responses. Free. Link in description. You have everything you need. The map, the practices, the timeline, the community. The only thing left is to walk the path. And you're already walking it. You made it through 60 minutes of this video. That's commitment. That's someone who's serious about transformation. I see you. Final empowerment message. You found you. 6330 65 Sarast. One last thing before you go. Soul contract breaking isn't the end of your story. It's not even the worst thing that's ever happened to you, though it might feel that way right now. It's a portal, a death, and a rebirth. The old you, the one who ignored red flags, abandoned yourself, said yes when you meant no. That person had to die for the integrated you to be born. This hurts. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't. Stage 1 is excruciating. Stage 2 is terrifying. Stage 3 is rage-filled. Stage 4 is long. Stage 5 is lifelong. This is not a quick fix. This is not 3 tips to heal from a breakup. This is the deep work. The work most people won't do. But you're not most people. You're here. 60 minutes into a dense video about Jungian psychology and neuroscience and shadow work. You're willing to do hard things. And because you're willing, you're going to make it. Through the collapse, through the void, through the anger, through the integration, to freedom. You're going to become someone you didn't know you could be. Someone boundaried, whole, sovereign. Someone who doesn't lose themselves in relationships. Someone who trusts themselves first. That person, they're being born right now. In the pain, in the confusion, in the work you're doing, every grounding session, every energy audit, every boundary set, every shadow trait integrated, you're building them. And one day, months from now, you'll wake up and realize you didn't lose them. You found you. Trust the process. Honor each stage. Do the work. Don't skip steps. Don't rush. Don't bypass the pain. Walk through it with practices, with support, with the knowledge that others have walked this path and made it through. You're going to make it through too. Your rebirth has already begun. This video ending isn't the end. It's the beginning. Go do your week 1 practice right now. Close this video, download the worksheet, set a timer, begin. That's how rebirth happens. Not with epiphanies, with small, consistent actions day after day until you're someone new. You didn't lose them. You found you, and that's the gift hidden in the pain. Now go claim it.